It's your boy, Ed the Dread, aka Eddie Money Mouth, and you are tuned in to the Money Mouth Podcast. Yes, sir. Aloha nui kako. And welcome to another Money Mouth Monday. It's your boy, Ed the Dread, coming at ya. Back at it on the solo dolo. Feels good because I'm not only an extrovert, I don't mind getting out there, performing in front of people, talking to people, doing shit like that, talking to a homie over there on the other chair. But I also enjoy being by my lonesome. There's a lot going on in the freaking world, so plenty that I can talk about, but I'm going to talk about personal experiences related to these events that we have going on. So, first and foremost, the title of today's podcast is Math and Interpersonal Skills Are Dwindling? And my personal experience with Iran/Iranian people. Because that is big time right now. All right. First and foremost, Ed the Dread was a math teacher for a number of years. 5 years I taught math, all levels. 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, which is Algebra 1, 10th grade, which is Geometry, 11th grade, which is Algebra 2, and 12th grade, which is Statistics. So I did every single grade level from 7th to 12th, and multiple years for all of them. So I'm pretty well versed in math, which I was before I even got into teaching math, and that is why I went into teaching math, because I like math. Okay, and one thing that I'll say when it comes to math is people don't like it. It's almost like they give up on it at like 3rd grade, 4th grade. When you get to long division, you start doing like decimals and fractions and shit, and they're just like, oh no, I can't do this. A decimal is too much for me. I don't know what the fuck's going on. And then by the time, you're in high school, you're just like completely over it. College, I don't know. They're probably just using photo math and shit to get by nowadays. But, when it comes to having math skills and solving problems, variables are just reasoning points, unknown data that you need to figure out. So this is one thing that I say all the time when it comes to algebra. But if you were asked to meet somebody at a certain place in time and you needed to think about how long it would take you to get there, you are doing algebra in your brain, because you're taking into account a lot of different things that are unknowns, but you can kind of deduce through your experience being in those scenarios on that road or at that time of day and where you're going, what direction, that you would be able to figure it out. So you use algebra all the time with unknown variables just in your brain at a fast pace without you thinking about it like that. But ultimately, maybe people haven't had a teacher that was able to express that to them and relate it to their real life circumstances. When it came to having kids solve problems, I would say that when you put it in the frame of money, they would figure it out, right? You're like, oh, what's 5 times 10? That's a very simple one. I hope you would know that one. But like, if they can't figure it out, you go, well, what's 5 times $10? And then like instantly, oh, $50. He's just like, but you couldn't, oh man. Or like 45 times 2. I swear that was one I had. And it was like, oh, 45 times 2. You don't know. They couldn't figure it out. Oh, 90. But when you say, what's $45 plus $45? And then it's instantly, oh, $90. And you're like, gosh. So when it comes to math, a lot of times the only thing people relate it to is money. And unfortunately for humanity, that's what it's become, because all the spiritual shit you're talking about is just geometry of the universe and how it relates to everything around us and your being. But the experience that I'll get to are recent, from when I went to Miami to get my gold teeth. Again, shout out to Lando Grills. Pooh, if you need some fucking perm golds, get your ass over there. Don't get rose gold. Go with the regular yellow so I can be the homie with the rose gold, okay? But when I was there, I searched up vegan restaurants, because there's only a few here on Maui, and that's such a big, diverse area. I thought that there would be a bunch, and I was correct. So my experience led me to, figure out, one, that people don't even use cash anymore at some places, and 2, interpersonal skills are dwindling. I went to a vegan restaurant, and I think it's Surfside. So a little bit north of North Maui Beach or North Miami Beach, North Miami Beach. Um, and there you got to pay to park. I did all this driving around to find a spot to not pay to park in. I get to the place. It's pretty nice. I'm probably the least well dressed person in the place, we'll say. But I ordered probably like $40 worth of food, and I went to pay with it for cash. Or actually, before I even did that, the girl asked me what my name was, and I said Ed, and she was, huh? Ed. Excuse me? Ed. Ed. And then he was like, I watched her and she like didn't fucking know which letters on the keyboard were Ed. And I'm pretty sure the E and the D are like right near each other. But anyway, so then once she typed that in, she looked so confused and like couldn't say, had nothing to say to me. I'm just sitting there looking at a confused girl, and she calls someone over and the person looks at me and I'm like standing there with a $50 bill. And the girl literally couldn't just tell me like, yo, we don't accept cash. She like was flustered, had no clue what to say, didn't know how to type E and D, and then couldn't say that they didn't accept cash. So manager homegirl had to come over and tell me that they didn't accept cash. And I'm like, what? I'm almost positive that she said they only took Apple Pay. Like you couldn't even, I was like, oh, can I Venmo you? And she's like, oh no. And I'm like, well, I don't even want to use my cards. I don't even care. It's like, this isn't a business expense. Like I'm not, no. Like whatever. And it was just ridiculous. But honestly, it was the wildest experience that I had had. It was what I imagined. Some of these students that I've had that just sit on their phone and don't really talk to people and get their own way and leave class and do whatever they want. If they actually have to get a job and then they like have to talk to people in public and overload, that's like exactly what this chick was like. And then a few hours later, I was in the spirit. I saw a bunch of people with soccer balls and they were juggling on the beach. And I was like, you know what? Inter Miami, let me see if I get like an Inter Miami hat or something or a scarf or something I could hang at the house or whatever. So I go to Inter Miami store, and maybe it wasn't an Inter Miami store because I'm pretty sure there's only two, and one's in the airport and the other is in their stadium. But a store that was licensed to sell Inter Miami gear, which there's minimal amounts of those. And they accepted cash, thankfully. But this experience was crazy because, and this is where I get to math is at an all-time low. And this even involves money. So my man at the register, the total for the shoe bag that I bought was $16.05, right? $16.05. So if we round up to the next dollar, $17, right? I need to receive $33 and some change back. Well, how much change? What's 100 minus 5? 95. So I need 95 cents back. My boy at the register types it in, gets the total. The cash register does everything for him. And then he goes into the register, grabs the 33, grabs 3/4, and then looks at me. And I'm like, looking at him, and he's fucking looking at me, and I was just like, yeah, bro, grab 2 dimes, and he fucking grabbed a nickel. I swear. I was like, no, bro, the smaller one, 2 of the smaller ones. It's a fucking shame, dude. It was a shame. So my man didn't understand a dime or a nickel. Either that or he was just too flustered in a fucking public circumstance where he's got to count change as opposed to someone just swiping their card or Apple paying. So it was completely ridiculous. But like I said, math and interpersonal skills dwindling. I mean, a lot of people. How many people date off of an app? Right? Like, I'm not really in like the market, so I don't go out trying to find a woman to talk to, but like, I don't know if that happens anymore, seeing what people between like 18 and 24 do, looking at people at concerts and how no one's even talking to each other, dancing with each other, they're all just filming, and everything is just, it's just wild. So, interpersonal skills, thanks to phones, I'm gonna say, and probably social media, and just not having that. I got to go talk to you face to face, or I have to call your home and talk to your dad to talk to you. And maybe not as an adult, but like we in high school, we didn't just text girls. We had to freaking call the house, and oh, her older brother answered. What are you gonna say to the older brother? The dad answered. What are you gonna say to the dad? You had to figure that out before you even got to talk to the shorty. So it was a thing, right? Moving on. Second topic of the day. This is a big one. Iran. Clearly, if you fucking even live on a rock like we do out on Maui, you have to know what's going on. Uh, BB the bomber Netanyahu is out there just dropping bombs on fucking everybody. He's been carpet bombing a fucking civilians for the past year and a half, and then bombed fucking pretty much every country around. Now he's hit Iran, and the U.S. then bombed Iran, and then Iran shot bombs at the U.S. embassy, and then Trump called for a ceasefire, and it's just been completely insane. But what I will say is, we're all pretty stoked to see that fucking some shit got shot down in fucking Israel because they were leveling everyone else's shit. So just to see maybe one building get hit makes you go, wow, a taste of your own fucking medicine for once. It's like, geez, but I think a lot got hit. Then when you look at the freaking firsthand video and they're like, hey, Hamas has these motherfucking tunnels under civilian stuff. So, they're using civilian shields. Like every single video I saw of the defense system was like shooting from between a homie's house. It's like, oh, I got this condo. There's my other homie at the other condo waving across, hey, and then a fucking shoo goes in between them. Oh, air defense. Me, 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 me. You're like, who's really amongst the civilians? But that's what I mean. It's a crazy time. But anyway, my personal experience with the Iranians or Iranians is positive. Like I would say almost very, very, dude, to be fair, my personal experience with Iranians is better than my personal experience with Jewish people. And I'm not saying that these Jewish people are Israelis, but, just in general, whether it's people from Brooklyn down in Deal, New Jersey, whether it's like a homie's wedding, I literally was just the worker, like the painter for the guy that owned freaking Times Square. Every single summer, paint his house white. Every summer, 250,000 new flowers in the front yard. Every summer, sand the rust or grind the rust off the garage door and repaint the garage door. So they give you a time that you have to have everything done by, and then you're not even allowed to work or show up in their neighborhoods anymore for the rest of the summer. So that in itself is like crazy because, most of the workers look like me or brown. And it's just like, you're there working only for the first 2-3 weeks of summer. And then pow, you out, don't come back. Right. As far as Iranians go, I had a soccer coach who, he might have been one of the hardest coaches on you as a person, which probably came from his culture and just the sternness that he had. But Coach Mahmoud, we played for Caspian Soccer Club and went to a tournament in Italy when I was 16. So in that tournament, we played against Brescia, Italy, Colo Colo, Chile, another team, Inter Milan. Yeah, Inter Milan. Good God, embarrassment. And the U17 Iranian national team. And they ended up staying in the same hotel as us, right? So the coach, who I tell this story to the surf team because there was a meeting one time after we lost one of these fucking games, like 8 Rock or something to Inter, and they were just schooling us up because we're fucking American soccer players and they've been fucking raised in an Italian soccer academy, and they were just frying us, bro. Like it was like 8 or 9 Rock. And the meeting after, the guy's yelling at us, and I had to fart real bad, and I was just holding it in for a long time. And then he asked me a question about something I did, and I was like trying so hard to hold the fart, and it like squeezed out. And he was just like, "Is that how you talk to your fucking parents? Like, get out of the meeting!" And like, I think I got kicked out of the meeting for farting, and it was funny. now looking back on it, but as you know, a 16 or 17-year-old, like I don't know, it was kind of harsh, but whatever. Didn't matter to me. I still thought the guy was pretty good as a coach, and I learned a bunch from him, and I was able to travel internationally with him, so I'll thank him for that. When it came to playing the Iranian national team, we got our asses handed to us. I think it was like 15 nothing, 17 nothing. Just fucking schooled us. But they also stayed in our hotel. Now, in our hotel, we had some Italian teams. We were staying in a town called Trieste. It was a beach town in, I don't know, a beach town is somewhere in Italy. All right, I don't know exactly where, right? Northern, middle, something, whatever. But we had Italian teams from other places in Italy that were in our hotel room. There was like an Australian team and the Iranian team. Now, our team was like mixed, diverse, had a bunch of black dudes, had a bunch of white dudes, maybe a few Spanish dudes, and like the Italian teams were like all white guys. The Australian team was like all white guys. The Iranian team was all brown dudes. And at one point, they were just walking around our hotel. And I think I had a mic. It was like a tape, cassette tape, Michael Jackson cassette tape. And we didn't speak the same language or anything. But I was just like, they heard the music playing and came to the room. And then, we're in there and they're looking at, oh, I got Adidas equipment. I got all sorts of shit. And it's just like, it comes to the point where they're like looking at and like, oh, like trade. And I'm like, yeah, fucking trade. Like, come back to my room. So these homies all left, right? They go and bring back like full kits. I really hope my dad still has some of these because there was a point in my life where I just threw away everything that I owned and just like restarted over again. But hopefully he has them hanging, at least one or something. But I had full kit, long sleeve jersey, short sleeve jersey, shorts, socks, everything. Iranian national team. I was trading a full kit for like an Adidas Equipment B t-shirt from fucking, 98. Uh, a dollar. I swear, like they saw like a dollar bill. I don't know how much it was worth for their currency, but like a fucking dollar. I was just like, yo, yeah, you can have a fucking five. What the fuck do I care? Yeah, take a five, and then you get a whole kit. So it's like I got like my whole soccer bag filled with like Iranian national team uniforms for like some t-shirts and some money. It was crazy, but realistically, the craziest part was the only English that they knew. We couldn't really conversate, but when you played Michael Jackson, they knew the fucking words. So like we just went out in the hallway and danced and sang Michael Jackson together. Like me and a bunch of Iranian dudes. And like I said, we couldn't really communicate other than the music and just the body motion and the dancing and moving, which I will also say played into another team. I think it was like after every team you played, you got to go eat dinner with them somewhere. So when we played Colo Colo Chile, they all spoke Spanish and none of us did. And we're eating dinner and like not really able to have conversation. But then like when the music came on, like the homies all got up and danced, and like their culture, they dance a lot. So whatever, I'm pretty sure at least the black guys got up and danced. You know what I'm saying? But you could at least go interact with the other people, whether you spoke the language or not, because music and dancing like is its own language, right? So as far as Iranian soccer and hanging out with people, like I said, I felt more comfortable being around the Iranian dudes and hanging out listening to Michael Jackson with them than I felt, at the breakfast table near Australian dudes eating Nutella on toast. And that's just how it is, right? Um, my next experience with Iranian comes from a woman, and actually I'll say girl because we were both under 18 at the time. But the long story is definitely for another podcast. But we'll just say that this this girl's mom and my dad grew up together, like right next door to each other, and they're both white. And then her mom married an Iranian dude, and my dad married a black lady, right? So we end up later on talking to each other in high school, and unbeknownst to us, until I called her house and her mom answered the phone because the caller ID said the name of the guy she grew up next to. And then I told her my name and she thought it was him, but it wasn't. It was me, and I was his son, and I was trying to holler at her daughter. But when it comes to, relationships that I had, that was a short lived one, but kind of potent, and she was gorgeous. We interacted again later on in life. And I mean, gorgeous, I'll say, and great person from a great family. So to me, Iranian people have been fucking super nice to me. Might have kicked my ass on a soccer field, but all the interactions that I have with Iranian folks have been pretty straightforward. Uh, Homegirl's dad wasn't super crazy. He didn't make her mom wear a hijab. Like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't make her do that shit. Um, you know, like when it comes to other people's countries, whether or not you think they need a regime change, like fuck yourself, cause like worry about your own country. You know what I'm saying? I would beg to say that the regime change needs to happen in the US, right? Like this whole uh bullying everybody around the world, have military bases everywhere, try to watch everyone while we are just doing anything and bullshit and making up lies, and then you got fucking Israel just bullshitting and lying and getting us into wars. It's fucking completely insane. So when it comes to like, oh, we need to tell these people what to do, what you should do is fucking sort your own shit out first. Cause look at America right now, bro. Like it's not popping. Okay? There's riots everywhere. There's fucking masked ICE agents fucking stealing workers fucking at the bus stop and deporting them. They just made a fucking alligator Alcatraz city trying to be like fucking Bukele down in El Salvador and just throw people in a jail with a moat around it with fucking alligators. Like why the fuck would you ever be worrying about what's going on over in someone else's shit when you can't even sort your own shit out? You know what I'm saying? Like it's a very crazy circumstance. So when it comes to whose side I'm riding on, if you don't know whose side I'm riding on, here I'll give you one last story. And this one comes from another Jewish homegirl who just happened to think that instead of me being in the wedding party that we were at, that I worked at the establishment. And when she was finished with her plate of food, she looked around, uh, could have put it down on a table, but instead looked at me and put her empty plate of food on top of my full plate of food as if I was the fucking help when I'm dressed up with a fucking lay on. So that's some bullshit. That was your Money Mouth podcast. Click like, click subscribe, share if you care. It's your boy Ed the Dread, and I'm going up there, up there. A hooey ho, Kako.